Hi everyone, good morning. My name's MJ Robinson and I'm here today to teach you how to create a mindfulness jar or a mindfulness bottle. These are also sometimes called calming jars or bottles, and they're really fun, beautiful, pretty easy to make if you have a few supplies. So I'm going to lead you through it. If you have supplies with you, please follow along. If you don't have supplies, it's not a big deal. You can just relax and watch me make one. I'll teach you how, and you can know what you'll need if you want to make one at home. So I'm just going to grab some hot water off of the stove. I tried to get it hot but not boiling because the main ingredients for our calming jars will be warm water and clear Elmer's glue. From what I've read, this is the easiest glue to use. You could also use certain glitter glues. You probably don't want to use the white glue that dries clear, but this is probably the easiest to use because the water doesn't have to be super hot for it to mix in well. So I'm going to go grab the water. I'll go over materials. I'll show you some of the magic of the calming bottle that I made yesterday, and I'll lead you through how to make one today. All right, so if you have a kettle like this, that might be helpful. But if your water from your sink gets pretty hot, you might not need to boil water at all. So I'm just going to set that aside and let it rest. And I'll demonstrate to you how cool these calming bottles are. I hope the light is good enough to see this. I'll actually bring over a lamp of mine to see if we can get a little more light shine on this one. All right, so this is the calming bottle I made yesterday. It has sort of this berry purple color water, and you might be able to see at the bottom there's some sparkles. And when I flip it over or shake it up carefully, you can see these swirling, beautiful glitter. First of all, it feels really great. It's a great sensation to just shake something. You can get out your anger or frustration by shaking it. And then watching the glitter spin, it spins up and down and around. You can place it down and wait for the glitter to settle. And focusing on this can sort of take you out of any intense feelings that you have. If you focus on the glitter and try to be mindful, it can be a helpful distraction or a way to focus when you're finding yourself caught in anxiety or stress. Especially lately, I know I've been very stressed, so I was really excited to learn about and make this calming bottle. The materials that you're going to need, like I said, are this clear Elmer's glue. You'll want either a used water bottle of some sort or a glass jar just be careful if you're using glass to know, when you think about shaking something, and if you're clumsy, you might accidentally drop it or throw it. So I wouldn't recommend using jars if you're someone who knows you're a bit clumsy with things, or if you're doing this with kids. You want to be a little safer, so you might want to find either a recyclable clear bottle, like this water bottle, or you can actually find at some craft stores, they make clear plastic bottles that might not have some of the that you typically see on plastic bottles. So I think having smooth sides will make this bottle really beautiful. I'm looking forward to that. But plastic bottle, also great. As you saw, it works really well. And some other materials you'll need are various colors of glitter. Something that I found when making these is that if you can find some white or light colored small size glitter, that can really add a little extra sparkle, because the white glitter tends to have all the colors of the rainbow kind of show up within it. Whereas when you get green glitter, it's a little more flat of a color, so it's still beautiful. But if you can mix the two together, it ends up coming out really awesome. I experimented a little with teeny tiny glitter. This is black glitter that looks like sand. I happen to love the color black, and in something that this glitter reminded me of is that in ancient Egypt, the color black was considered this really amazing color that represented life, because the Nile River would flood every year and bring up and create this really fertile soil that could grow the crops really easily. And if you think about the richest soils that grow the most plants, they tend to be dark brown and black in color. So I have some black glitter we can experiment with today. I'm still gonna mix in that light colored, multicolored glitter with that to give it an extra shine. And different sizes of glitter will give you different effects. So it's good to buy a couple different kinds and see what you like. I have purple, which I made yesterday's bottle with. I think today the two bottles we'll make together. I'd like to do one that's a combination of green and yellow, green and gold, and one that's a combination of black and multicolor white. I also found this little packet of, they're kind of larger glitter that have shapes. I didn't know I had these, so I'm really excited to experiment with these in our glitter bottle and to watch them float up and down. You're also, this is optional, but if you have food coloring, you get to make cakes and cupcakes and all sorts of baking with. It comes in a pack like this usually. All you need is one drop or a little bit. And you don't even need this, but if you happen to have some at home, you could also use watercolor. If you want to add just a drop of watercolor into your bottle, it'll help give the water a little bit of a tint, a little bit of a color. I brought some skewers, for grilling. These are just bamboo skewers. You can buy a big pack cheaply. And some people, when they make glitter bottles, they'll do it in a mixing bowl. For me, it's been a little easier just to do it within the jar or bottle itself. So I needed a long, skinny stirring stick for the water bottle. A popsicle stick works just fine for a smaller jar or bottle. So I think that's about it. We'll need our hot water. So I have mine here. I've let it cool because you don't want it to be boiling, especially if you're using plastic. Because if I poured water straight from the boiling kettle into the plastic bottle, it will just melt right away. So be extra careful if you're using hot water, and go really slowly so that if you happen to be melting your bottle, you realize and you can stop right away. Same with a glass jar. Sometimes if your glass jar is kind of cool and you pour hot water, boiling water into it, it might crack. So we're going to be extra careful and make sure our water is warm but not hot. All right. So I think we'll have time to do 2 today. I'm first going to just peel. You could also cut off any labels that are on your jars, and you can really use anything that you know will shut tightly. So if you have a salsa jar that you have the lid for, if you have, you know, this is like a jelly or jam jar that I had a lid for. But really anything that's clear will work. I didn't choose anything larger than a regular water bottle. You can, but you'll need a lot of glue to finish your craft. So it just ends up being a little more expensive to do really large bottles, but it's definitely worth experimenting with if you can get a big bottle of glue. Maybe you're someone who also likes to make slimes or gels to play with. This is a similar craft in some ways. So if you are really into squishy things, shiny things, swirly things, you might want to invest in getting like a really large, like a gallon jug of clear glue, because it might come in handy for other crafts. All right, so one rule of thumb that I've read is that for clear glue, you want at least 20 to 30%, or about like a quarter to a third of your container to be glue, and the rest of it will be water and glitter. And the way that I've been doing this while I've been experimenting is doing just a little bit at a time. So what I'm going to start with is pouring like 25%, or about a quarter, about this much, warm water into my jar. And you don't have to be precise or perfect. If you can get somewhat close, that will be helpful. I'm using this kettle because it has a little spout, so it's pretty easy for me to aim and not spill on my table. If you're doing this in general, like I put down this blue tablecloth because I know that I'm using glue, which is sticky. I know that I'm using water. I've kept my computer on another table. So if you can prop your computer somewhere else, just in case you happen to spill your glitter bottle in progress, you won't ruin your computer or anything like that. So definitely set up your space to be clean. I poured in this warm water. I'm realizing it's a little hot, so I'm going to be careful and let it sit longer before I do my plastic bottle, because I know that's more likely to melt. And like I said, I poured about a quarter cup of water. And now I'm going to take my clear glue, and I'm going to go ahead and fill my jar to about the halfway mark. So for myself, I'm kind of marking with my finger where I want it to be full to. So I remember, don't do too much or too little. And it's kind of cool when you pour it, you can see that the glue kind of makes this snaky looking shape. So it's really a lot of glue. It's a lot more than I'm used to as someone who usually uses glue to glue things on paper. I used probably like a quarter of this bottle to fill that jar. And like I said, I'm gonna just start stirring with a popsicle stick for the jar. And I wanna see that warm water and glue start to stir up and meld into one instead of looking like two separate elements or parts. So really this still looks like water, but it has lots of glue in it, which is what helps the glitter and sparkles to spend time moving around in the jar. All right, and here's the fun part. I'm now gonna add a bunch of glitter. So like I said, I wanted to add this green glitter and the yellow glitter. And I might even add some green or yellow food coloring. I had to pop in the top for this, and I'm going to just pour a whole bunch in. Again, it feels like a lot of glitter for someone who's used to doing smaller glitter crafts, but the more you use, the more fun your glitter jar ends up being. And again, I'm gonna stir with my stick, start to get that glitter incorporated into the gluey water. I'd like to have some gold glitter in here as well, maybe a little less than the green. But I'm gonna pour in some gold glitter. This is gonna be really cool. If you have a favorite sports team or school colors, you could choose colors that are meaningful to you. Oh, this is looking so cool already. Check it out. So glittery. I'm gonna put even more gold in. Again, this is like totally up to your taste, so you get to decide how much you want to do, and I do encourage you to make a few different ones if you have the supplies, because every time I make a new one, I learn a little bit more about like how much glue do I want to add, and you know, how much glitter makes the bottle the most fun that it could be. And like I said, I like to add just a little bit of this multicolored white glitter. So I'm gonna sprinkle that in. And this type is a little smaller, like the actual dots of glitter are smaller. So that tends to give it a sparkly effect. And I'm gonna stir that all in as well. So it's already looking great, and from here on out, I'll just slowly add a little more water I might add a little more glue. I think the more glue you add, the longer it takes for your sparkles to move through the bottle. So if you want to have a somewhat longer, calming, meditative experience, you can add more glue, because then your glitter will stay suspended and sparkling for longer. So I'm gonna fill mine to about 3/4 with water. It's looking pretty cool. I want to put just a little more glue in. Again, like I said, you don't have to be precise. I'd like to try out what it's going to be like to have more glue in this one, especially since it's a little smaller than my large plastic water bottle. And I'd like to see the glitter suspend for longer. So I'm going to stir that all up. And the reason that stirring is so important is, like I said before, the glue and the water need to get blended with each other. Otherwise, you're going to end up with clumps, and your glitter is going to get into a clumpy situation, and it's not going to like freely float and sparkle in the way that you might want it to, which could be frustrating. So be sure to have warm water and be sure to stir as you go. All right. So I still have a little bit of room at the top of my cup, but I'm going to close it and give it an initial shake and see what I think about it. So I'll do this in front of the camera so we can judge it together, see if we want to add any ingredients. Look how cool that looks in the sunlight. Awesome. Here's the purple one, which has sort of this berry color. The purple one. Ooh. Here's our green one, green and gold. All right, I'm gonna take the green and gold, point this over toward me a little bit more, and I'm gonna shake it up. I'm making sure that lid is nice and tight. You can even add hot glue or duct tape over the top if you're scared that it might accidentally burst, especially with the water bottles. All right, so here's our calming jar in the sunlight. All right, so I think I need more water. I'm noticing that there's a lot of empty space in my jar still, which I expected, but I'm also seeing that I have a lot of glitter in here, and it's not moving quite as quickly or freely as my purple bottle does. And that was my goal. I wanted it to take a little longer, but I do think I'll need to add a little more hot water. I closed it so tight it's hard to open. All right, I filled it almost all the way to the top. And I don't even think I want to add food coloring to this one, because I like the colors that it seems to be making naturally. Oh, I should stir this up. Now I have to be careful because it's so full, and I don't want to make too much of a mess. Again, I'm trying to like scrape the bottom a little bit with my stick so I don't get any clumps. You can use anything for stirring, like a spoon. I like to use a popsicle because it's disposable. I don't have to worry about getting like glue on it and not being able to clean it off. But this kind of glue is easy to wash. So if you get it on your clothes or if you get it on a spoon or anything like that, it's going to come off really quickly with a little bit of hot water and soap. Oh, this is so cool. This is coming out great. Closing it nice and tight. See that how the colors are like naturally forming this sort of sunset vibe, ombre gradient. It's looking a little more gold at the top and green at the bottom. I'm going to experiment again with shaking this one, making sure it's nice and tight. And just watch the glitter floating up. Some of them are floating down. You can see it a little better if I point it toward the light. And I can do it again. And watch how it slows down slowly. And seeing it in person, I'm watching the particles kind of settling. You can see that gradient again where it looks more yellow at the top. I can flip it and rest it on the surface and watch all those glitter particles fall down. It's both relaxing and exciting to me. Something that I'm seeing is that I do still have some air in my jar. Do you see that at the top? So I might even be able to add just a little bit more water, because some of these glitters get clumped at the top or the bottom. But that's kind of cool too, because then when I just a little bit, if I tilt it and tilt it back, those clumps start to fall and spin around. So even when you make a mistake, it's fun to play with. There's no such thing as a perfect calming bottle. It's just whatever is fun for you. That is really cool. We have our purple one, we have our green and yellow one. These are coming out great. Ooh, you know what? I forgot I had these stars and moons. So let's make one more with a regular water bottle. I'm going to experiment with the black glitter. I'll see how it looks, and maybe I'll add another color. I'm definitely going to add the little white multicolored, and I'm going to add these stars and moons. Maybe I'll get a little bit of a night sky vibe. That's my hope. All right, so similar process here. You can also draw on the outside of your jar a little bit. You don't want to draw too much, but you can use a Sharpie and draw on the outside. Just don't draw so much that you end up blocking seeing what's inside. But you can tape things, you can add stickers. You can really make this into whatever you want it to be. I brought some duct tape to tape shut any plastic water bottle, because those lids tend to come off a little easier, especially if you shake them really hard. So I'm gonna rip a piece off. I'll show you how I'm gonna do this on the purple bottle. I probably needed a slightly bigger piece, but I'll just wrap around. Make sure to tape, the tape touches the plastic water bottle part and the cap. And you can get really fun duct tape colors at the craft store. You can get shiny, glittery ones to go with your glitter calming bottle. Or you could just use silver, which typical silver duct tape is kind of glittery too. I'm using black. I like how it looks. And duct tape is the best because it's waterproof. So if it does happen to start to leak, hopefully that will catch it. But anything can break and all the caps can pop off if you try hard enough. So just be careful with your jars and don't intentionally bust them open, because it'll happen. Yay! All right, so the water that I boiled earlier, I'm just touching it carefully with my finger. It's a little too warm, I think. Like, I'm not really comfortable keeping my finger in the water. So I'm actually gonna add a little bit of cold water to make sure that this is warm but not hot. And whatever you're pouring out of, I encourage you to use something with a spout, especially with the water bottles. It can be challenging to get the water to all end up in the bottle and not on your table. You might also have a funnel at home, so that's another option. Same with getting the glitter in the bottle. You might want to use a funnel. If you're just doing it with the glitter, you can definitely use a piece of paper. Maybe you know this trick where you can swirl a piece of paper into a cone shape, like this. Just sort of bring the corners into each other, and you'll have a little gap at the cone at the end. So that's another do-it-yourself funnel method. It's better to do with plastic for hot water. So if you think about, if I pour water onto this paper, it'll probably get kind of soggy and it might still spill, it could rip. So maybe if you had a plastic, like a piece of acetate or a folder from a binder, you could do this with a piece of plastic if you don't have a plastic funnel for water, or find a measuring cup or something else with a spout to do your pouring. So same like I did before, I'm gonna pour about a quarter of the way to the top with this warm water. Again, I'm being careful and trying to notice, okay, is this water too hot? Is my bottle melting? But I think I'm all right. I'm spilling a little bit, but that's okay. So I have my tablecloth. I could also have some paper towels on the ready. All right, I poured a little more than I meant to, but like I said, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go with the flow. Got about a third of the water bottle filled with warm water. And then I'm gonna put glue in up to another third or so. See how that goes. I'm marking with my finger how high up the bottle I want to go. This is pretty easy because it actually fits right in. I don't need a funnel. The clear glue is not super thick. It flows pretty easily. I happened to use the rest of this bottle, and that landed me a little less than the third that I hoped for, but I think that will probably be a good amount for this bottle. And you can find these art supplies at all kinds of stores. It's great if you have a local art shop. But if not, you can go to Staples or Walmart or Target. Anywhere that they sell craft supplies. And a lot of those stores are selling lots of different kinds of glues you can experiment with, because people like to use them for crafts like this. They like to make slime out of them. All right, so there's my bottle, and when I look closely, I can see that the glue kind of sunk to the bottom. And for this, I have my long, skinny skewer, and I'm just gonna stir that up nice and good. Try to incorporate the glue and the hot water together so that they're not two different things, but rather they're mixed and stirred together. And this is cool. You can see in the front, see how our yellow and green calming bottle, all the glitter settled to the bottom, but it took several minutes to completely settle, and I can actually still see a couple pieces of glitter floating down the edge. So you can also use it as a timer for yourself if you're someone who needs some support to focus. I know that for myself, when I'm doing a task on the computer, I tend to get distracted and I want to click away and go browse the internet or social media. So I could flip my glitter bottle over and say, all right, I'm going to focus on writing this email, and I'm only going to write this email, and when my glitter totally settles, then I can stop and take a break and go look at Instagram, something like that. All right, so it doesn't really look much different, but I can tell that the glue and the water have mixed together. And I'm going to pour in some of my black glitter. So for this, I'm going to use my funnel because the pouring spout is so large on this one. I don't know if you can see, but I think it would get really messy if I tried to pour it right in. I'm going to use my plastic funnel because I think it's the easiest one, but like I said, you can make one out of paper. You can always start with a little bit and add more. Obviously, you can't take anything out, but it's easy to add. And I was hoping this would end up looking like a night sky, and it's already sort of filled up with the black glitter. It's looking pretty cool. It's a little less sparkly than the gold and green glitter, I notice. But still sparkles, especially when I hold it in the sunlight. That's really cool. So now I'm taking my smaller white rainbow glitter to give it that extra sparkle, especially since it's a little less shiny unless it's in the sunlight. And this has a smaller spout, so I'm just going to sprinkle it right in. I'm using plenty of that one. This one's called Hologram Silver. I've been calling it white, but sort of this rainbow color. Right. Reminds me of like unicorn dust or something. I'm gonna close all my tops because glitter, I want to be extra careful to be neat with because, as you know, glitter tends to get everywhere. So definitely set up your table before you use glitter. This is turning out really cool with the black and the silver glitter mixed together. I'm gonna keep stirring with my skewer to make sure we don't get any clumps. And I'm not going to forget, I have my stars and moons to complete my night sky bottle. You could also experiment with, I was thinking for something like my calming jar, the yellow one in the front. If you have any tiny little plastic toys, you could put some of those inside. I know that I have like a little mouse, for example, that I keep in one of my plants. So it has some dirt on it right now, but I could potentially put this little mouse, plastic mouse, into the glitter bottle, either to shake around inside of it, or I could hot glue it to either the bottom or the top, and it could end up being sort of a snow globe that the mouse lives inside of. So here you can see what my bottle looks like when it settles. The silver rainbow sparkles, because they're a smaller size, they stay up, they stay suspended in the gluey water for longer, and the black settled to the bottom quicker. It reminds me of like day and night together. And again, with these larger confetti style glitter, I'm going to use a funnel because it doesn't have a very easy to pour spout or anything. So there's stars and moons and teddy bears and hearts in this glitter. I wonder if they're going to stay up or if they're going to sink down quickly. When I first poured those in, I don't know if you can tell, but they have floated on the top. So I'm going to use my skewer stick and kind of mix them in and incorporate them. It's looking pretty cool. I think I'm going to add a little bit of gold glitter to this too. I think all the silver and black is beautiful. And when I think of the night sky, I think also of a little bit of gold, silver, that shiny, starry sky. I'm liking how this is coming out. I wish you could see it in person. It's very cool. I'll hold it up to the light soon. Okay, so we've got a few different glitter bottles now. Here's how this one is coming out. Again, I don't think I want to add food coloring to this one. I like the natural colors that it makes in the natural gradient. I ended up adding food color to this one, and you can tell that it got a little brownish looking in certain light, which I like because it reminds me of berries and fruit. But I do think maybe if I didn't use, I put in like 2 drops of blue and 1 drop of red food coloring. And I think if I didn't, it would be a little clearer, a little easier to see the sparkles. So like I said before, the black tends to go to the bottom quicker. I'm gonna add more warm water. And again, before I fill it all the way, I like to do a little bit of a test to see how it all looks and if I like how long the glitter stays suspended. Oh, that's cool. When I spin it and twist it, you can see the gold, silver, and black sparkles. And once in a while, you see one of the larger confetti shapes like a heart or a star. They're a little hidden within the black, I think. So I don't mind. I think it's extra special when you get a little glimpse of one. I'm liking this because, you know, I still see some black glitter, black and gold up toward the top. I watch it float up, I watch it float down. And when I flip it completely, it like floods in. So I'm pretty happy with how this bottle is. I'm gonna fill it to the top with warm water and tape it at the top and consider it good to go. And again, there's no right way for these to look. They're pretty easy to make. You just have to be neat and careful so that you don't spill your water. If you're someone who gets overwhelmed like I do, you can give yourself a little moment of rest by just flipping and watching these beautiful bottles. I'm going to tape this one shut. It's a little wet at the top, so I'll just dry it off with a paper towel first. There's tons of really cool events happening this week, and also in general through Thundermist and Thunderwell. So definitely check out those. I'm really excited because I'm going to be leading adult crafting classes. And the first one is coming up on Wednesday, August 19th from 6 to 7 p.m. These adult crafting classes are open to all. Some of them have more adult content than others. The one coming up on the 19th is friendly for all ages, but it's also meant to be a place for us adults to hang out and get to chat with each other, get to know each other, do a craft, a relaxing craft. The first one coming up, we're going to be looking at one of my favorite artists, Nick Cave, who creates these beautiful sound suit sculptures / costumes out of all kinds of found materials. So we'll be doing a collage class on the 19th. My name's MJ Robinson. I'm an artist. I live in Providence, Rhode Island. I am a writer and an illustrator, and I love to teach. I'm excited for the crafting classes because a lot of the activities we'll do and artists will look at are members of the LGBTQ community. All right, let's take a look. Let's do a roundup of our glitter calming bottles here. All right, we've got three pretty different vibes here. Something for everyone. So we have this one, which we made together today with yellow, green, and silver / rainbow glitter. Give this a little shake and a turn. Love how this one looks so green when you shake it, and then when you let it rest, this beautiful yellow emerges. is. And this one is not all the way full, so then we have these little avalanche moments when the water touches an area where there was air and the glitter had bunched up. I'm also noticing behind me, like the glitter, the reflection of the glitter is filling the room behind me in a cool way. So when you hold it to direct light in your house, it's pretty cool. I'm excited to play with this at nighttime too, maybe using different lamps or colored lights behind it. All right, I'll go with the one I made last night. So this one I added some food coloring to. So the water itself has a interesting reddish tint, reddish brownish tint to it. And at the bottom you can see the purple glitter. Shake that up, spin it around. You can see that glitter rising and falling. I like spinning this one. You see how the purple bunches up, but then it floats down to the bottom. And the one we just made, which someone might mistake for a regular water bottle at first, right? Because it's mostly clear at the top. Do not drink these. And then it floods into this beautiful night sky from day to night. You've got this moon goddess vibe. We even have some confetti shapes hidden within. You'll see when you look really closely, you might be able to see, like, I see a little star was falling on my side. I have to say, I think this black and white one might be my favorite. We put just a little bit of gold, black, and silver in this one. All right. So that's our hour. Thank you so much for joining me. A couple reminders. My name is MJ Robinson. You can find me on Instagram at Niji with an underscore at the end. I'm a writer and illustrator and educator. I live here in Providence. And you could definitely join me for a really fun collage activity on Wednesday the 19th from 6 to 7 p.m. Last, I want to encourage you all to please fill out your census form, or you can go, I believe, census.gov. Getting your information counted will really help bring resources to your neighborhood and to the place that you live. So it's pretty important to fill it out, and it only takes a few minutes. I hope that you enjoyed either watching or making your own calming bottles with me today. I look forward to seeing your experiments, so please tag me or post to Thundermist if you create your own and you want to share it out. All right, everyone, see you next time. Thanks for joining me.